Oakland's spring is a story from John Blackstone.
Springtime has made the Oakland Hills green again, but this is still a neighborhood in ruins. The worst fire in California history turned this into the setting for a nightmare. 25 people died, thousands lost their homes. But now, a few people are moving back, calling the Oakland Hills home once again. We'll meet them, and some who can't return, later on Sunday morning.
Oakland's spring is a story about home and the human spirit. I remember I used to cover the Mississippi River floods. Pretty nearly every year the river would rise out of its banks and wash people's houses away. And when the water went down, they'd come back and build on the same spot. I thought it was crazy. Now John Blackstone has sent us this story from the California hills, which are prone to fire. And I realize that some people just can't help themselves. They have memories, and home is where the heart is.
I don't think there was ever any doubt that we would come back. From that first day we went up on Wednesday after the fire and we looked at what was left, we knew we would come back.
Dena Cruz and her husband Raul took this home video of what was left after the worst fire in California history destroyed their home and 3,000 others.
And there's the foundation of our home with the burnt debris overlying it. I'm sweeping down. This is the pathway between our house and Barry and Deborah's house.
We lay with you when you were in great pain, and we're so happy to be with you now with your great happiness.
Now they have reason to celebrate. Raul and Dena and 4-year-old daughter Connor are the first to move back into the burned-over hills. They're a beacon of hope that this place will once again be what it once was.
I love Oakland. I love these hills. They don't look like what they used to, but they will. It's a great neighborhood. It will be a neighborhood again.
That's right. Is that it? You got it right?
That's all we own.
Oh, yeah. They packed up our suitcases and moved.
But for all who lived through the fire, life will never be exactly the same again.
I was surprised how well Connor and Dena and I all did in terms of losing all of our physical possessions. And I realized, hey, those things just really don't mean that much.
Dena, a lawyer, and Raul, a surgeon, were away from home that Sunday morning when the fire swept down the hill. Connor and her babysitter were snatched up by fleeing neighbors.
At that time the road was blocked because a car had stalled and people were jammed and ramming each other trying to get out. And they were panicked. Connor talks about the fire coming down the hill on them. And they managed, because they had a small car, and they took the chance to go on to the left around the broken down car and got out.
There are about 200 people that come down Sherwick and turn right onto Charing Cross. And it's only 13 feet wide in some places. And for 200 households to try and evacuate on that street is, that was the biggest problem. 11 people died right up here at the corner because of that street. Siri, you okay? Is that it? Yes. I think it's heavy.
Doug Walway is the contractor who built several of the houses up here. He finished work on Dena and Raul's house just 10 days before the fire.
I had 5 houses right along this street that all burnt down. The first house I finished up here, which was about 3.5 years ago, the owner died in the fire.
I think about the neighbors on the other side of us who have lived here for 27, 30 years, who raised their kids, and I think probably it's harder for them than it is for me, because I was only here a week, less than a week, and I don't have notches where my kids grew up on the wall, and I don't have a room where my son was raised.
Raul and Dena had just moved into the neighborhood, a place where luxury homes and more modest houses and apartments sprawled across the tree-covered hillsides, most with spectacular views across San Francisco Bay.
And then on this side was a little patio where we would spend the evenings, where it was pleasantly cool when the sun was setting in the west.
It was a wonderful street for our children to grow up.
Alan and Louise Kaufman had lived here 34 years. This is the second time they've been burned out. A fire swept through here in 1970.
It was out of control, and 37 houses went. We thought that was a big fire at the time.
This time, they won't move back. They've bought another house away from here.
I just can't go through rebuilding again. At first time was a joy. We were much younger. We had children. We didn't want to uproot them. But 21 years later, our priorities have changed. We want to do other things with our life than build again.
Here and there on the hills, a few houses are being rebuilt. And everywhere, there are people with plans.
Do you want to leave a hole?
Like Al and Nina Blake, doing their best to find the silver lining.
1111.
With these two trees gone, we'll have a much better view of the bay.
And of course the view, we never saw this view because it was all burned down.
Yeah.
I have had some concerns, but I try to think that the next cataclysm is going to be somewhere else.
I thought I could control most of the kinds of things I did in my life. But I think trying to deal with insurance companies after you've had a total loss is something that's just hard to explain to people. It's a unique experience. You're almost helpless.
For many, when the fire was over, the problems were just beginning.
You know, we told the commissioner we have problems here, and now we're telling him we're proving that we have problems here.
Ina DeLong heads a consumer group that's helping fire victims in their battles with insurance companies.
The thing that irritates me so bad is that the insurance policy is to sell you peace of mind. I don't see a whole lot of peace of mind here. No.
The most frequent complaint, the insurance company's estimate of the cost of rebuilding is far below that of the homeowner.
It isn't uncommon for the insurance company to bring in an estimate that's 50 or 60% of what the policyholder's estimate is.
Describe your emotional state in terms of the way your claim is being handled. Having achieved peace of mind. Hopeful? Cautiously optimistic.
But for all that, those whose losses were only material must count themselves among the lucky in the Oakland Hills. 25 people died. Dozens were injured. As life begins to return to the Oakland Hills, Dena and Raul Cruz are the first who can start thinking about the rest of their lives, about what they've learned, and how all this has changed them. Raul is determined to use his surgeon's skills in a way he'd only dreamed of until now.
The problem with maybe some allergies or some rhinitis problems. And then, I'm looking at probably September now, going to somewhere in Central America for a 3 to 6 month time period, just donating my time to an indigent hospital and just taking care of people who have no access to medical care.
I learned that what's really important are your friends and your family, and that a house can be rebuilt and furniture can be rebought. And maybe those pictures and some of those special drawings that my daughter did are gone. But we're healthy, and we'll recreate those things again. But I certainly feel closer to my husband. I think our marriage is better having gone through this. I feel closer to my friends. I feel very fortunate and very lucky. And that fire taught me that.